Well, okay. I'm trying to figure out. Huh. Oh. Boy. So the timer was 20 minutes and like 18 seconds. And I'm like, no, I just started this thing. What's going on? All right. So my foobar. Cool. All right, what's up, everybody? It is Vashawn Jones, visionary of Fedora Outlier LLC. Hopefully, you can hear me, see me. Actually, let me check that. I should have been doing that instead of running my mouth. Hold on one sec. Hold on. Camera, Black Magic. Yes, microphone, Clarity USB. Everything is good. You should be able to hear me, see me. So, you guys know what it is. It's Conversations with Vashawn Jones, and we got a good one for you today, as we always do. So I'm going to start the show. Kimberly is on vacation, and my mom is in Vegas. More on that shortly. Um, Here is the introduction music, and I'm not going to dance. I promise you. Here it goes. All right, so Christy just informed me that you can't see me. Christy, what about now? And you guys can hear me. So at least that is a good thing. So while we work on that, which could be a broken camera, in which
I
case
do not see you still.
you can't see me sing.
Now it's just a black. Where you should be is just a black screen. Your logo's there and everything, but not you. Your picture.
Oh, okay. Then guess what? You won't be able to see me, but tell me if this changes scene. Hold on one sec. Let me see something. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. All right. So I changed the thing to the world, and let me know if you see that change there on the screen, Christy. So listen, there are no rules in broadcasting anymore. You heard when they say it's live and you can't make any mistakes. Well, guess what? It's live, and I'm making all types of mistakes, but you can hear me.
I see a Twitter logo.
Okay, well, whatever. It changed, right? It changed.
Yes.
All right, as long as it
Yes.
changed, that means something's working. You can't see me, and I think that was intentional from the last broadcast, but it's been a while. I've been in the hospital, so let me go ahead and give you guys the update. And by the way, we do have our two guests on the line, so I did not lie to you. I never lie to you guys. So guests, just say hello. Just say hello.
Hello.
Yep, that's one of them, and the other one.
Hello.
All right, there you go. So they're here. They're going to be quiet. All right, so let me give you guys the update. All right, so I had a performance, the saxophone that you guys heard in the beginning of that clip. Yeah, and so I had a performance in North Carolina. Really, really big in, performance because it was a lot of people that wanted to see me. It was like everybody from the National Industries for the Blind. It's like the director of blindness services in North Carolina. It was a big deal, right? And I was like their special guest, like Kenny G coming in. And I felt real good. And so me and my best friend, Giorgio, we catch the train to North Carolina. And the last time we caught the train is when we first went blind, and we caught the train from Atlanta to Washington, D.C. to go to the Washington seminar. More on that in a future story. It was amazing. I wasn't married then, so all types. Never mind. All right, and so nevertheless, we're on the train. We get in about 6 o'clock in the morning to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I get to my friend's house, and she has to leave for work at 7, and I started feeling queasy, and so they told me to drink some vinegar, and that'll stop the queasiness in my stomach. I drank the vinegar. About an hour later, at 7 o'clock, after she had already left and couldn't be reached, I threw up like 12 times. All types of things was coming out of my body. Like, right? I don't want to give you the picture, but it was coming out of both ends. I guess you got the picture. So I'm really, really sick, getting really, really lethargic and not knowing what's going on. So fast forward 5-6 hours later, my wife is trying to reach me. She can't reach me because I'm too weak to answer the phone. She contacts my best friend and my driver, Harriet, and asks Harriet, can she reach Marcia, because she can't reach me. Harriet does, because she has everybody's number. And I finally tell my wife, hey, I've been sick. This is what's been going on with me. She said, do you want me to come down? I'm like, from Georgia to North Carolina, like now? I was like, no, I'll wait until the morning. So Harriet, being the bullheaded, hard-headed friend that she is, said, no, we're going now. And so they jump in the car, and 5 hours later they get to me. They want to drive me back to Atlanta, but I said, I'm too weak. I can't do it. Let's go to the hospital. We go to the hospital. They immediately admit me. I'm there for 4 days. I'm dehydrated. All types of fluids are gone. The food that they feed you when they're dehydrated in the hospital, by the way, is super, super nasty. Nevertheless, they couldn't get my blood pressure down. And it was a shock to the body and all types of stuff. And they did what they could, and what they could do, they did. And nevertheless, they released me. 3 days of going back and forth to the doctor, a week of recovery. We are here today. So thank you guys for all the well wishes. Thank you guys for watching my video on it. Thank you, Harriet, and all the people in North Carolina. Didn't get a chance to play. Got invited to come out this weekend to play again. Unable to make it because I have another performance in Georgia. But I'm excited to be here. So that is that. You guys want to hear my rant? No, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give it to you anyway. So here's my rant. And it's titled, You Are Broke Because You Want to Be. Well, what do I mean by that? I got this parable that I give whenever I'm giving speeches on this particular topic. And it has to do with a person doing a lot, a person doing a little, and a person doing nothing. Two of those are going to get you pretty much the exact same results. There's only one of those things that are going to get you the results that you're looking for. And that's doing a lot. And so when you don't know exactly what you want to do and the exact path to take to get there, it is important that you do a lot. And what do I mean by that? I have people that say, I want to be an assistive technology instructor. That's a great lofty goal. It pays a lot. It pays a heck of a lot, especially if you're like in the top percentile of the people doing it across the globe, which is where I've always wanted to be and have gotten there. Now, I had to do a whole bunch of different things, from social media to blogging and podcasting and da-da-da-da-da. None of that had nothing to do with assistive technology. But I had to do a lot and make mistakes to get on the correct path and to be able to forge my own way. Now, what happens to the person doing a little bit? They're going to get little to no results. And the person doing nothing and just saying that's what they want to do and be and hope that it's going to fall in their lap, those results are nothing as well. And so I tell people that you're broke because you want to be, because you're not doing enough for things to happen. How does that work? Well, it may not come the way you want it, exactly the way you envisioned it, the way you wrote it down on paper, or typed it in your computer, your phone, your Android, whatever device you're using, your goals that you have. And if you're not writing down, typing your goals, then that's another reason why they're probably not happening for you either. But it may not come the way you want it. But when you're doing a lot, you're going to get opportunities that are going to push you into the areas of work that you want to be in, or even the areas of life, the areas of anything that you want to do. If you surround yourself with people and read enough about it and put into practice the things that people that have done it prior to you, you'll be able to do it as well. And then what happens with that and those opportunities that you've gotten, what happens is now, instead of saying yes to every opportunity that comes your way, you can start to say no to the things that you don't want to do, or to the low cost, high risk things, what I call, I guess if I call it, I should know the name of it. I guess that's what I call it. That's how I term it in my head. It's not low cost, low profit, high risk, or in my case, they want to pay a little, but they want a lot of my time. You can start to say no to those things. Once you become great or good or at the level that you want to be at. So what happened in the case with me? I would say yes to every paycheck that was out there. Everybody who wanted to buy it or do it or whatever. Even the free stuff. And it was purposeful, right? I needed to get the experience. I needed to get the notoriety. I needed to get my name out there. Now, I turn down more things than I actually accept. Why? Because I value my time. But I couldn't do that without being able to do a lot of things at once to be able to get that target bullseyed in so that I can be able to hit it. Now, if you didn't get that, I'll give you one more analogy and then I'll break down the last two one more time. Okay? So let's say it's two battleships, right? And each one of you only have one cannon, but everybody on board has guns. Now, you will fire the guns to make sure that you see where the target is. And then once you have the target, then you would fire the cannon, because you only have one of those, right? And so that's the same thing with anything that you want to do. You do a lot, the bullets, the guns, right? Until you get laser focused on exactly what it is you want to do, and then you're able to fire the cannon. So I hope that helps someone. But here's the biggest thing with what I said. Doing nothing is going to get you nothing. And if you're running your mouth, hey, I want to do and I want to be, and expecting it to fall in your lap, it's not gonna. If you're doing the bare minimum to get past, this is not the time. There's people with doctorate degrees working at JCPenney's for $12 an hour. They can get the best of the best talent for very little money. So you literally have to stand out and do what I say, have a USP, a unique sales proposition. What's going to separate you from everybody else that's doing what you want to do, right? So doing a lot. You have to do a lot to bring in streams of revenue that will be able to support you. Cool. All right, so that is my rant. I hope that helps someone. Being broke is a habit, right? It's a mindset. and you can break the brokenness. You can have a breakthrough. You do not have to be broke and disabled. That's not good. That's really not a good look, even for those of us that are blind. And so my goal, my heart's goal, my life's mission is to help those of us that are blind and disabled find or create work that is meaningful, purposeful, and profitable. Find, which means you have to be looking, and you can't fill out one job application a day saying I'm waiting for somebody to call me back. You got to fill out a lot. Create. If you can't find a way, make a way. Create your own opportunities, right? Work. It's going to be work. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be work. Now, it doesn't have to be the Department of Labor work. I don't like that word, but it's work, right? It's fun, but it's work. When I play the saxophone, it's fun, but it's still work. Meaningful. What's the meaning behind it for you? Purposeful. What's the purpose in doing what you do? And most of all, let it be profitable. Whether it's your heart's profit, whether it's financial profitability, whatever, but make it be profitable. Cool. All right. So tonight's guest, wherever you're at in the world, comes from two different places across the globe. Internationally, and I think the mister that's on the line is still in Kentucky. I think it's Kentucky, if my memory serves me correct. And if it doesn't, then we'll give him the opportunity to correct himself. But what I want you guys to do is put your virtual hands together. There we go. All right, there we go. Yeah. Thank you for Nasreen. Don't even know her last name. I just call her my Canadian connection, right? So that's Nasreen. And then we have, put your hands together one more time for Mr. Well, there you go. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, let me say the name before you start clapping. Put your hands together for Mr. Aaron Lingson. Aaron, how you doing, sir?
Good, sir. And yourself?
I am better than excellent. These two people come to us, number one, as long-term friends. Nasreen has been here for a while. I don't even know until about a week ago exactly what she did. I just know that she's always doing it. And I always see her name somewhere, from whether it's, what was it, Starfish? Was it Starfish?
Project Starfish, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. In Canada, with a global mission, definitely love it. And I couldn't wait, once I found out what her latest venture is, to have her on. And then I said, well, since you're so thoroughly connected, you probably might want to have someone else on with you. And she says, well, yeah, I do. And I said, well, okay, well, what's their name so we can put them in the marketing? And she said, Aaron Lingson. I said, I know Aaron Lingson. Aaron worked with us years ago in our audio department and got us started. And I remember this one recording that I recorded and sent to him, and he brought it back and he said that this has too much floor noise. And I'm like, what? How? What is floor noise?
I remember
what are you
that.
talking about? And thousands of recordings later, literally, I found out what floor noise was: gating, EQ, compression, and needless to say, tens and tens of thousands of dollars of equipment later, thanks to this guy. So I probably have about 30 microphones, literally. It's crazy. But nevertheless,
I think I've got you beat on the mics. I've got like 40 or 50.
right, right. We need to swap collections. Cool. From
Oh yeah.
the Sourcing Foundation, Nasreen and Aaron Lingson. So one more time, you guys put your hands together. Go ahead and start now for thank you. There you go. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. So ladies first, Nasreen, that was what I know
Yes.
about you. Tell people in your own words a little bit of your bio and just where you're at right now with the Sourcing Foundation.
Yeah, absolutely, Vishon. No problem. Actually, I like to think of myself as somebody who is always helping folks launch or relaunch their career, and that's sort of my motto, my mission, and my vision. And I have been involved in a few different nonprofits, and one of them we mentioned, which is Project Starfish, where I kind of got my fame and my sort of experience and with them, I branched out into the Sourcing Foundation. A story kind of tie in together with this is that back in 2015 at the project, we did a pilot with the Sourcing Foundation. A handful of our folks from the organization, our members, went through a pilot program at the time. I was part of that pilot. I also project managed that. And as a result, 60 to 70% of those people went into sourcing and recruiting at the time and maintained employment for at least 2-3 years until they, decided to go into something else. And so that's where the sort of tie-in between the Sourcing Foundation and myself has kind of tripled into this nonprofit. Also said with that, I am a Canadian, as you mentioned, and I'm proud to be one. Yeah, we've known each other on the circuit for a while, so it's always a pleasure to speak to you. And this is my first time being on your platform, so I'm really excited. I'm also a fan of glass art. I'm a lover of glass art, roller coasters, thrilling coasters, music, event planning, and I also like to kind of think that I like to revel in the transformation of others. So my background in workforce development training, job readiness, recruiting, sourcing kind of helps me to kind of really watch that transformation in others. The other thing I'm very passionate about is social impact causes, and I've got another one in my back pocket right now, working in the blind community, sort of bold and beauty. So it's kind of that, but that's for another conversation. So thanks for having me on your platform, and hello, everybody.
All right. And so, yeah, we're broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope, all of that stuff at the same time. And someone who has a degree in broadcasting engineering. You guys have heard his voice, Mr. Aaron Lingson. Aaron, tell individuals a little bit about yourself in the same fashion that Nasreen did, and bring us up to date to what you're doing with the Sourcing Foundation.
Definitely, Vishon. Well, first thing, you were wrong on the fact that I live in Kentucky. I actually have moved to Indiana and have called that my home for the past 8 months. But, that's totally fine. That's neither here or there. You guys have probably known me on Twitter, and it's been this way for a long time as Blind Podcaster. That's my Twitter handle. You can follow me there. Shameless plug at the beginning of this. Going to be more shooting and shameless plugging at the end of this, and that's totally fine, because who doesn't want to promote themselves and do that? But May 5th of 2017, I am proud to say that I graduated with my Bachelor of Science degree in music with concentration in audio production and a minor in communications. I usually tell people that you don't want to know my degree because it's but it has helped me through a lot of things. I play various instruments, including guitar, piano, and bass. I can play more, and I do play more. As Vishal said, I was the director of audio when Fedora Outlier LLC was just getting started, that I knew it was just getting started, and I knew about. So we had a nice team there. And then working various jobs and not being satisfied with where I was in life, I hopped on Twitter one day looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know who I was looking for, but I knew I was looking for a better position in a new job. And I came across this tweet from probably my feed for a while, never heard anything from, but occasionally checked in. And I don't remember what was said, but it's something along the lines of why want to jumpstart a new career or send in your resume, and gave the information. Unknowns to me, I would be introduced to Nasreen and go through what TSI or TSIF, same company, Sourcing Institute or the Sourcing Institute Foundation, would have to offer. And I am employed with, I can call it their sister company, which is HireForce, which is a hiring company for 500 to, I think, 100 level companies that, we go out and for employment and for open job positions. The people that aren't hired through HireForce go out and can do commission and can be a what I like to call an IC, which is an independent contractor. And it's a really great opportunity, and I am more than happy to be working for an awesome company and just an awesome group of people that actually understand and actually get it.
Okay. Cool. Hey, what's up, David? The gentleman that wants to listen. So cool. He doesn't want to ask a question at this point. But thanks for calling in and listening. All right. So you said a mouthful there, Aaron. I forgot that you did play instruments as well as having over 40 microphones. Indiana is a surprise, but you're right there where Sweetwater music is. So hopefully you can get there if you haven't already. They're in
That's the plan to get there.
Oh my God,
yeah.
It's like the mecca of audio gear. So yeah, I'm going to make a trip there. I'm going to go to Sweetwater, and then we're going to head over to Sax Quest, which is in St. Louis. But I have to go in the summertime because I can't be cold. That's why I won't go see Nasreen, because it's cold in Canada.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's break this thing down. Aaron said a lot as far as the company and different companies and the sister company and the brother of that one and the whole family tree. But let's tell the people, what is Sourcing Foundation, one, and then what is the actual job, the sourcing of individuals? How does that work? What's kind of the resume? Give us the breakdown on that, Nasreen.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Sourcing Foundation is a nonprofit 501c. They're part of the enterprise of the company. So they had like the TSI, as Aaron mentioned, the Sourcing Institute Foundation. So that's the nonprofit arm. And then the HireForce, which you can call it the contractual work part of the entire enterprise. So those are the three sort of enterprise companies within this entire hub. And the nonprofit foundation part is what what I represent and what I'm the executive director for. And so what we do is we provide online training program, which is comprehensive, end-to-end, and accessible in the space of recruiting and sourcing. And I don't mean sourcing Harry Potter style, but sourcing in the sense of finding the unfindable talent, as we like to call it, or in other words, passive profiles of people out there that you would want to place for a job based upon, for a job rec or a job position, job title, and you have to find the appropriate candidate that would meet all the requirements that's listed in that job rec so that you can present that to a recruiter or a hiring manager to be hired. Our course is designed around full cycle recruitment, which in other words means that you learn the nuances of both ends of the spectrum of sourcing or being headhunters, which is another kind of, term out there that's used in the industry vigilantly. And I've seen a couple of those ones out there too. And recruiting, which is the sort of the front end of the entire process, where you are, as a recruiter, you are the bridge between the candidate or the potential hiring candidate and the hiring manager of said company. And you are that sort of bridge between the two, trying to place that candidate, trying to fulfill the hiring manager's needs for the job placement role responsibilities that they're looking to fill. So that's kind of like the entire full cycle recruitment ecosystem that you learn with our online courses, which are certified diploma level, and also they're accredited with the HR professionals governing body, which is SHRM. And you get that lifetime accreditation. I believe it's a red badge that you get. And so the program is completely comprehensive, end-to-end. It is a college level course and is designed in such a fashion so that you get the entire experience from both ends. And that way, when you are, finish the course and you get involved in the industry employment-wise, you have the ability to turn around and, on-take either full cycle recruitment, depending on when you get absorbed, or you can pick or choose which one you want. A lot of folks, let me just remind you all, a lot of folks in the disabled community, especially with impairments, like the sourcing aspect because it's the machine, the man, and the computer, so to speak, and technique, methodology to source, which is to find potential candidates using tools that you already have available at your disposal, like your computer, your keyboard, your internet browser, and a few other techniques to kind of find those passive candidates, and a few applications that you might have on hand, like LinkedIn and your browsers. And you learn this sort of sourcing methodology through the course and become better of it, so that both ends of the spectrum do have different pay grades. And if you do full cycle recruitment, you can reap the benefits of that. Generally, though, a lot of folks who are visually impaired do get into sourcing a lot because it's easier, like in the sense that sometimes recruiting may require you to have a vehicle, and that's unless you have a driver or something, that's sometimes hard to do, that mobility part, because you may have to go on site with your candidate in tow and present to the hiring manager on site. So that kind of sometimes becomes a little bit of a challenge, but a lot of folks do like the sourcing part of it. And sometimes the requirement may have you need a vehicle for that job. So obviously we can't get around that. So I'm just putting that out there just to let you all know that may be one little obstacle, that we don't own a driver's license, LaShawn.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Hold on one sec. All right, so tried to fix the camera and made it worse, and they said they didn't hear anything that you said, Nasreen. So could you repeat it?
Oh no.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just
Sure.
joking. But they cannot see me, but they still can. I don't know why I'm trying to fix this thing. Aaron, what is wrong with me, man? I'm trying to fix this thing live. It's broken. And you said it was going to be broken, but
It might just be the camera. It might just be you, but it could be both.
right.
You know.
I think the camera is off. I think when we had that power surge, it just turned the camera off, and the software is controlling the camera, but it doesn't say that the camera is not providing video. Somebody like Christy has to say, no, we can't see you. So anyway, so Aaron, you went through kind of this whole process, right, with the Sourcing Foundation. All right, so how was that for you, number one, just going through it as a new job opportunity, and then number two, as a blind person navigating all of these different facets of information coming at you?
Yeah. Well, on going back to what Nasreen would say or did say about the recruiting stuff, the aspect of that, she's right, but I'll be glad when the flying cars and stuff come out because it's been or flying cars. No, not well. Yeah, that would be cool, but the automation for the cars would come out because then that's going to be a non-factor. Man.
Okay.
But as far as the position and how the course went, I was pleasantly surprised on how accessible it was and how prepared the Sourcing Institute was for blind individuals and just people in general. And that would have been handed out in, say, a pilot session or a live session, like you go to a conference and they give handouts or something. It was all available to download, and the entire series and series of modules that were videos were very well done, and all the information that was being presented you could go and actually look at. And so it's quite accessible, and I would say that it's the most accessible job and most accessible learning that I've ever had. And that's somebody who's been a self-advocate for myself in a college setting.
Okay. So how long have you been with the company?
Miraculously, I've been with the company almost a year.
Oh, awesome.
I believe.
Right. So, guys, listen to what happened in his life. So, he gets a job. Months later, he moves to a whole nother state, right? That's what he did with his paycheck. He moved to a whole other state. You see what a paycheck will do for you? It'll allow you to move to a whole other state. Is that what happened? Is that a correct synopsis, Aaron, of what happened during this time period of employment for you, sir?
You could say that. There were some other factors in it, but that was mainly the way it happened. I needed to get away from a situation that I'm not going to go into now, but needed to get away from a situation and I decided, you know what, might as well just move somewhere totally different, get myself uneasy, and let's get this thing started. And that's basically how it all went down.
Mm-hmm. So the moving truck, the food to go to the different state as you travel was paid for out of your paycheck from this company that Nasreen is a part of? Is that what you're saying, sir?
Some of it, yes. My parents helped a little bit too, as far as like helping, but yes, a lot of it was.
Because you walking in and renting a U-Haul with your cane wouldn't have bode well with U-Haul, I'm imagining. Right?
Yeah, they probably would have laughed me out of the office.
Right. last question for you, sir. So there's a
Hmm.
deposit that is required when you rent this U-Haul truck. Did you use
Yes.
any or some of the money from the company that you are working for currently to pay that deposit on that truck, sir? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
There you go. You see what having a job, ladies and gentlemen, will do for you. It will still allow you to get help from your parents, but it will allow you to also kick in on gas, right?
Hmm.
That's
And it will
what
allow you to say, no, I've got this.
right.
Stop it and let me actually do
Yeah.
it.
Let me
More power
actually,
to you.
yes, yes. So
Mm.
Nazreen, you spoke of the very high percentage, almost the same percentage of the unemployment rate that we speak of, and we have been speaking
Hmm.
of for decades, at least in the United States, of this 70% unemployment rate amongst those of us with disabilities, da 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 da. And you, I
Hmm.
think, not quoting you because I don't remember. I just remember the percentage and saying in my mind that it was high subconsciously. So 70+% employment rate, is that what I heard?
Yeah, so the people that went through the pilot, that was the percentage that got absorbed into the industry, and at least sustained work for at least 2 to 3 years thereafter, and then obviously graduate into whatever else they wanted to go into, whatever life threw at them at that point. But yeah, definitely. We also ran another pilot actually, Sean, in 2018 after 2015 with Project Starfish. The next pilot was with the state of Vermont Local Rehab and another company down on the ground down there called Orion Global Talent Sourcing Institute. And we ran another pilot again. Another 8 to 12 people took the course, and another same amount of percentage, about 60 to 70% of those people were again, were absorbed and went into doing some sort of either recruiting or sourcing part of the industry and were employed. Again, the employment track is, they start off, it could be a 6 months to a year gig, it could be 2 years. That all depends upon where you get absorbed and employment that you do find. And then thereafter that, the Sourcing Institute just absorbed me to come on board and kind of work with the disabled community. I also work with veterans and military. And currently, Vishon, I'm going to be launching another pilot through the Sourcing Foundation in the space of re-entry prison, formerly prison, I guess, populist people coming out, and kind of working with them, kind of trying to integrate them into this career of recruiting and sourcing. So these are the kind of pilots that we're kind of running and doing. But yeah, that's been the statistics so far. We also just completed another pilot with the National Industry of the Blind, if anyone's familiar with that organization, and spent a good track working with them and, getting some of those people employed as well too. And some people also came to just refresh their course or whatever they're involved in the HR industry, but took it to refresh themselves and get accreditation. So that's a whole part of the ecosystem that we were kind of involved in. But yeah, that's pretty much what the numbers have been showing lately on that.
Okay, okay. And you're doing a great job with employment when you use the word absorbed when you're speaking of individuals becoming gainfully employed, because I think of absorb like when my dish detergent gets absorbed by the water, but I guess, you just kind of get sucked into the flow of employment, paychecks. You can now get rental cars, move across the
Yeah.
state, raise your family.
Yeah.
Aaron, any kids?
Yeah.
I know you got married back when you started Fedora. I'm sorry I couldn't afford to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't absorb you as well as you would like to have been absorbed at the time. But have you had any kids yet?
No, and actually, that has been the one of the reasons why I moved up here is things happened and we got a divorce based on a couple of things, and so no kids yet.
Okay. Okay. Got
Yeah.
you. Got you. Well, now you can afford alimony because you have a job. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Cool, cool. This was exciting to me when Nasreen told me that this is the way headhunting, recruiting, sourcing, all of this stuff worked. It was very, very interesting to me because I've seen it in action. Actually, when I first became blind, a guy in Georgia, can't remember his name, um, literally did this. And I'm talking about at the height of when this was, and I mean, it still is, but in my mind, I'm thinking like at the height of, when there were like temporary agencies and recruitment agencies and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He was like this single guy, like killing it. He's getting a percentage of the salary that he negotiated, and he's, getting these really high level executives employed, and he was blind. But it always seemed to me like he had to have this specialized knowledge, which I see is now easier to get, and you guys provide it. And so I guess the long and short of things is that you can actually be employed helping other people become employed. Is that not like the coolest?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't just work out with just the employment aspect. When you're doing the sourcing stuff, there's been things that I've done internet searches for, and I've used my skills as a sourcer and found the information that I needed. Whereas if I didn't have the information, I'd be combing through Google results, probably 2 or 3 days trying to find the information, and it's just as quick to put a Boolean string into what I'm looking for, and it pops up the results within a couple pages.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, and the skills are transferable. So, I mean, whatever, I guess some of the soft skills embedded within the program itself can also be, used on other platforms and taken, like Aaron just mentioned, a simple example of just general, maybe leads gen research using your browsers on a daily basis. If you have the knack and know the technique, you can really narrow down and minimize and maximize those searches really well to get the information you really need on point, rather than kind of fumbling in the dark through the web, so to speak, looking for it. And also understanding that the web, I mean, generally speaking, you're only really exercising about 10% of the web on a daily basis with your browser and passwords, the unpassword part of it anyways. And you also have to you also learn the type of browsers that you have and how they kind of function. So, for example, Vishon, when you're using Google, you're really, it's really a library. Did you ever think that Google was, like, it's a browser, of course, but it's a directory. It's a library known as Google, obviously. And when you're searching, if you put in something as simple as apple pie or apple pecan pie or something, I don't know, or whatever you like, it'll send out web crawlers. It'll crawl the web and Google and look for any domain page or server that has anything that any of those instances that you put into your search in that edit box, and try to bring up those what we call hits. And Google kind of looks at that as, like, I guess, so when you bring up a hit, it's bringing up actually for the first 250 lines of text within that web page. And that includes all elements, attributes, everything, checkboxes, blah, blah, combo, graphic links, whatever you name it, elements. And so basically it's running at a shallow level, but going wide across to cast that net to find you the information that you put into that edit box. So think about your browser next time when you're putting stuff in there. How is this engine working? I mean, how is Google working? How is the engine working? And then the other part of it, like, so when you're searching through Bing, for example, is the other engine. Because your browser, sorry, people get these confused with terminology, so let me just clarify that, because I'm going to I don't want to sound like an idiot here, but the browser would be like, your Firefox, your Edge, your Google Chrome, etc., and then your engines would be your Google in your Google Chrome, Google and what's the other one? Bing and Yahoo and Dogpile and blah, blah, right?
Mm.
And so like so if you're looking for something through Bing, that particular engine, and it's the same, that you can test this out for yourself to kind of see the variance here. But if you're looking for the same particular, let's say, string you type into your edit box, let's say Apple Pie, whatever, and you're looking through Bing, what happens in Bing is in those hits, if you choose one, it will bring up the first 500 lines of document text, which again includes any elements, attributes, et cetera, et cetera. And so therefore then Bing kind of goes at more of like a deeper level, where the web crawlers go more deep and wide, to bring that deep and broad, to bring all that information to you. So sometimes you can say that Bing is more like the deep web. And so it's kind of like one engine is accurate and one engine is specific. So like Google is more specific, where Bing can be more accurate depending on what you're looking for and how you want to, what you're searching for. And then those results can vary as a result of that. And so, I mean, Aaron, you probably experienced that when you're doing some of the sourcing. You know what I mean? Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yes, I do. That's correct. And even taking this back to a more unemployment thing where you're doing it for personal, even searching, let's say I'm looking for an iPhone 11 review. If I just put that in, what I'm going to get is a bunch of basically what I like to call nonsense. I'm going to get a bunch of videos. I'm going to get a bunch of ads. I'm going to get a bunch of stuff from Apple about it. And let's say I'm just looking for news reviews from the major publications like CNET or The Verge. And if I put iPhone 11 in quotes, and then I put a space, and then I put review in quotes, and then I do hit that to allow Google to crawl the web for that, my information and my results are going to get lowered because I've basically told Google, okay, I want only iPhone 11 and a review in the context of whatever you're finding. I don't want anything else. So it's going to show me a lot of articles. It's going to show me a lot of different companies. And let's say, for instance, I don't want the CNET article because let's say it's inaccessible. The last time I checked, it wasn't that accessible. Mm-hmm. So if I go back to my edit field and I put a minus CNET, that's going to look, the search engine can look at that and say, oh, okay, he doesn't want anything from CNET. So it's going to even mark down my more because all the stuff from CNET, or most of the stuff, because some things may slip in, are going to be completely gone. Now I can take that over to Bing, and I can, like Nasreen said, I can even get a more in-depth, I like to call it a more personal result because it does go deeper, and I might find even more information than I might not even found if I went just strictly through Bing or through Google.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you're also searching using these engines, look down your list and look at the time or the seconds, the milliseconds, and look at the amount of possible hits. Like it'll say something like 4 million
right.
hits found, and then like 32 seconds top time that it kind of found all that stuff for you. Now, obviously, if you're looking for something, guys, 42 million is a huge amount of data for you to sieve through to find what you're really looking for, whether it's a candidate profile, a do-it-yourself article, whatever you have it, music, whatever you have it. So you really want to maximize that right down to at least, let's say 500 down to 250 to 150 results in whatever milliseconds it does that. And so that's what you're really looking for. So in sourcing, in the methodology of sourcing, when you're using Boolean searching, like Aaron mentioned, and Boolean searching is using Boolean operators like and or not, and and doing X-ray searches, which is when you're looking and searching for possible candidates or information outside of the application. So you're not leaving an imprint within the application. So for example, if you're looking for a profile in LinkedIn and you don't have a premium account, and this is like a big one, if you don't have a premium account and you don't want to pay top dollar there for LinkedIn Recruiter and all the other bells and whistles that LinkedIn today has, and also in your free account, you're probably most likely only allowed to have 50 searches in that day before LinkedIn says to you, no more, out you go, you're locked out. So you want to do an X-ray search, and an X-ray search is where you're going to still look at LinkedIn, and you're going to still search through LinkedIn, but you're going to use your engine and the browser to do that with a bunch of commands. So you would do a site colon command. So for example, site colon linkedin.com/IN, and then you can put in quotes, let's say, account executive inside sales, Atlanta, Georgia. Think that's a good string. And what will that do is it will go out and search profiles, or give you hits actually in the engine, LinkedIn hits of profiles of people that fit that criteria. And so you're looking at LinkedIn from the outside in other words. And you're not leaving an imprint in LinkedIn, and you're not going to be locked out, and you're going to be able to find what you're looking for this way, rather than going into LinkedIn, if you have a free account, and then putting in the same search string, account executive inside sales, Atlanta, Georgia, for example, and then finding profiles of possible candidates, but knowing that you can only do about 50 searches that day, and you've got like a docket of work to do. And that same kind of X-ray search methodology applies in other, truth be told, other applications like Facebook, Twitter, right? It applies the same way. And so that really kind of helps. Also, you can search any directory by using like dir colon, and then kind of, let's say, looking at business direct, like business in business New York City. So you would get all these directories, for example, business directories in New York State that you can kind of sift through to find out what you're looking for. So it would bring up all the directories under business or whatever you put there. Gotcha. And so it's using these operators and Boolean operators and these sort of sourcing methodology, using the engine sort of Google commands and syntax, we call it, where you have syntax and context to kind of put in your search string to develop your statement. And
get the
that
results.
engine, and that engine kind of looks at that like that math. Now we all done math. We all know what that math should be, right? So when you put something into your engine like that, into a sentence structure where you've got syntax and context related next to one another, then the engine processes everything left to right, using and goes through the syntax that way. So your left side of your sort of statement would have sort of the meat and the bone, and then your right side of the statement would be sort of where you can kind of mix and match, move things around to kind of minimize those, results. Million hits down to, the results.
Gotcha. Yeah. Got you. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. The only thing that I have to say that is if you are eating pecan apple pie, as Nasreen stated, then you're nasty. I'm just telling you. Briefly, how can people reach you, Nasreen? Then how can people reach you, Aaron? And then we'll close out with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, absolutely, Vishal. If anybody's interested in, knowing more about our services and how to get involved, you can just send me an email at nasreen@sourcingfoundation.org, or if you're inclined, you can call it 416-709-4311. Just be careful; there might be some long distance charges. So, email, and I can always call you back.
Cool. And Mr. Blind Podcaster on Twitter. How can people reach you there and elsewhere?
Yes, sir. Well, as Vishan said, Twitter's that Blind Podcaster. It's one word, all lowercase, so there's no capital B, there's no nothing. Facebook's the same way. You can reach me through my email, which is I'm going to give the company one because it's easier. It's just Aaron.Lingson. That's AARON, period LINSON at Higher Force, and that's HIRE, the number 4 CE.com. If you're interested in anything about technology, anything like that, I do run my own podcast through the Anchor application, and you can find that over on anchor.fm/blindpodcaster. Go ahead and subscribe and sponsor the podcast because, you know, it takes money to do this stuff. It's Vashon, and it takes money to get better at it, even though I think I'm pretty darn good at it. I can always improve. So your help in any way would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to get a hold of me as well, you want to talk audio, you want to talk music, technology, sourcing, or you just don't want to call Nasreen because of the long distance charge, with more than willing to help out and give your information to her because she is my colleague in this. And my number is 50-648-1722. And just let me know who you are and that you heard me from Fedora Outlier LLC, and then we can start talking. And hopefully get you a job to where, you can be employable.
Cool. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our time. Nasreen and Aaron Lingson. You guys can go ahead and hang up. I will contact you tomorrow because it is literally past my bedtime. Here is our outro. Sylvester Stallone, you can do it. Don't give up.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.